just like, I flew across country with Roger Clinton recently. He says, you know, my brother says that. I said, well, maybe your brother feels that if he did say, we'll go to a break, we'll be right back with Don Rickles. Be right back. Let's talk about your dad. Your dad was in the clothing business.
I just want to tell you, I want to clear something up. I'm the spokesman for Comedy Central. So anybody that might know, that's why I'm going to New York, besides working at Carnegie Hall. But I'm the spokesman for Comedy Central, the cable network.
As I understand, the paid spokesperson.
Paid spokesman. Yeah, you don't do it for nothing.
No.
You do it for nothing ridiculous.
Right.
So it's the paid spokesman.
Spates, I think you'd have to
and
say...
I'll be at Carnegie Hall, which I think you mentioned.
Yes.
Rita Rucker. You know Rita?
Yes, she's going to be on the show next week.
She's very, very funny.
You can't even say you're a spokesman anymore. You have to say you're a spokesperson.
I see. Thanks a million, Chuck, for jumping in with some clever stuff. I really appreciate it. I've never worked with a guy so bright and fast.
I know. Well, you know. Your dad was in the clothing business, also in the insurance business, right?
Yeah, that's right. He was.
And at different times, right?
No, he doubled. He had both jobs at the same time. He sold clothes and sold insurance at the same time. What is wrong with you?
I'm just trying to find out about your dad.
I know, but what man was in a clothing? How can you say, I'm 42 short here, buy a policy? I mean, how do you do that?
Well, you could do a lot of. Your dad was a great kibitzer, and as I read about you took after your dad a lot.
Yeah, he was. My father was the kind of guy that was all around the woman, whether it be a friend or a neighbor or whatever. And it was never kind of, you know, it never...
Sexual harassment.
Yeah, it was never like you felt uncomfortable. And when he didn't do that, you thought he wasn't feeling good. And he had that gift. He was a heck of a guy.
And you got along with him well?
Oh, yeah. Before he died, I hit him. No, rest his soul. We got along well.
And because I like to see a guy like you, because, you know, you, as I recall, you know, when I first became aware of show business, you were there. And you've been there all this time. So I like to track it a little bit. You were doing plays in high school, right?
Yeah, I was the president of the basketball in a place called Newtown High School. And I wasn't failing every subject. They just didn't give me the subjects anymore. I was that far behind. And World War II came. You heard a lot of stories about it, but had World War II not come, I probably still would be in high school. And I thanked the Japanese. I wished them the best of luck and said, keep it going because I'm getting out of high school because of you people.
You know,
I didn't want to go to war. I used their toys.
You know, Don, you know this, and it sounds like a joke, but it's not. You know that the Japanese shut down an American plane yesterday? I'm serious.
I know. We have papers out here.
Oh, you do have papers out there.
Oh,
I mean, they apologized. They said it was an accident. But there were some war games or something, and I couldn't get over it. Now, our guys, thankfully, otherwise I wouldn't be talking about a parachuted to safety.
Yeah.
But they did shoot down the plane.
Yeah.
Why are the Japanese planes and our planes in the air? Do you understand that?
Who cares? I mean, this is not on the top of my list unless I'm going to Matsubishi, Nobu's place for a Japanese meal. But, I mean, that's over. Let's forget about that. They're wonderful people now. You know, and they're all American, so
Did it bother you that they shot down a plane yesterday?
Sure, it bothers me, but that's not on top of my list. I'm trying to build a career here. I'm not worrying about how many planes are in the ocean. Well, they told me you would help my career so
you
far.
can believe me.
Now I want
We're getting calls. We're getting, hold on a minute. He's the paid spokesperson, but he's available for other things. Absolutely he's available. We'll get back to you. Now, you were opening for a striptease thing.
Yeah.
And people were heckling you.
Yeah.
Up until that time, were you not heckling people back?
No, in those days I used to do like most comedians. I did bad impressions, and I could never tell a joke. To this day I can't tell a joke except being on this.
Right.
It's a joke.
That's a joke.
But otherwise, I was never a joke teller, and I always did bad. And the audience started to make cracks about the dancer coming out. In those days, the exotic dancers, they wore pasties. It was nothing. I mean, today the girls just come over, you know, with the balloons and put it in your suit.
Right.
But today, by my standards, in those days, it was nothing. So I was the comedian. We had about 4 or 5 comedians, and it was continuous entertainment. And I started to talk to the audience. And over the years of many, many years, I started to put together a performance and started to drop the impressions and the bad jokes that I told, and started to pick up on just doing what I do.
But it really, did it come out like self-defense in the beginning? answering hecklers back?
Well, it wasn't exactly an open forum that they could take pop shots constantly. No, I would just make fun of the situations and phone and exaggerate them, and they laughed, you know.
I got a kick. I was coming in, I talking about your first meeting with Sinatra. I don't know if it was reported like he did a quick, was it The Proud and the Profane, and you complimented the acting of the Canon?
Yeah, I said, the pride and the page, I said, the Canon was great. And he laughed, and that two of his guys hurt my uncle.
And then what year? We're talking the 60s that you got on Carson?
Yeah, right. Johnny was the best. He gave me the first big shot, and that meant a lot. He was the only one with the word was in those days, Chuck, as you can imagine, oh, who wants to take a chance? And Carson said, what chance? Funny's funny, and I want him on the show. And ever since then, we had a great relationship.
Now, you didn't do stand-up when you went on? You just came and sat down?
No, I sat down in the chair, and he had 14 notes, millions of notes, and we never looked at them. I never looked at my notes, he never looked at his notes. And we just talked, and I had a great chemistry with Johnny, and he's great.
Did you feel like you needed Johnny? Because I remember seeing you in those days, and I mean, you know what? I mean, Johnny's a nice guy and everything. He's brilliant, but when you get out there, I'll tell you, it was like you didn't need anything. You just needed the camera. You took over to that degree.
Well, thanks. When I hosted, it was fun. But, you know, as you know, being a host, look at yourself doing this show, which is not, unfortunately, catching on.
Right.
But, you know, you're out there alone, but I always loved the idea of having someone to bounce off, and Carson was the greatest when it came to, you know, setting me up for things, leading, as you were doing, conversation to make it funny. And he was a master at that.
I know. I just said that because I know he sometimes watches the show, and he probably watches if you're on.
No, he doesn't watch the show. I don't
watch it at all. And I just said that you really do show.
They had a bad storm at Malibu, and we used this as a night.
Well, you know, you did early on start with Jack Barr, who loves you.
Oh, gee, you knew that?
And I had dinner with him on Saturday night. And
wow.
Mali Noyo watching all the way from South Africa, Cape Town.
And I played a
Wow.
cab driver.
Thank you.
Rickles, and I came up, and in those days, who remembers? But it was those, I was kind of stuck with nobody doing it. I was thinking, they told me to do it. I'm a cab driver, and your show is lousy, or something like that. And he said, who are you? What are you doing here? And he got a little teed off. And I said, I'm going in the dump.
I'm kidding. I think the background is finished. Hello,
His career is over. She went crazy.
Well, Barr loves you. We're coming up to a break.
I'm thinking maybe I'm gonna make it a little bit more darker.
It's a hurricane, but don't tell Jack. Be back with Don Rickles. Coming up later, Connie Stevens, who's part Indian and makes a fortune on home shopping. The interesting things to think of. Quote, I don't want to hurt anyone, which I know you don't. Do you ever feel like you have?
When I work, I've never stood on the stage and said, gee, I shouldn't have said that. I think that's the kiss of death for anybody, any performer. You got to believe in what you do. And I've always believed in everything I've done. As I sit talking to you now, to be very honest, I've never liked you.
Right.
But I really don't make a thing out of it.
Right.
You know, you're not a bad guy, but your personality, you're not the kind of guy that's in let's have lunch.
Right. No
You know what I mean? Because you'd probably be annoying and so forth.
Right.
But what the whole idea is, when you stand up there, you got to go with what got you to the dance. And I've never backed down on anything I've ever said. And I think it's funny. And I say this to you very honestly, really and sincerely, Chuck. I make fun of you, but you're not a guy that not too many people like.
Now you say that you've never used the F word on stage. You don't even use it in public conversation.
I try not to, never.
Do you use it in private conversation?
Well, when I'm taking my jock off in a lot, I mean, maybe. I mean, I'm not exactly a monk. I mean, what do you do? Sit on the floor and gossip? What do you do?
No, do you like to say it just because
No, I don't like to say it just to say it. You really start to stay, you know. But when the furniture and when the flyer do you know, and suck on the neck.
And some of your biggest hits were two pictures particularly that I remember. You remember were Beach Blanket Bingo and Muscle at Each Other.
Nobody likes a smart ass.
You know, and Scorsese directed Beach Blanket Bingo. That's where you first worked with
his dreams. He directed Beach Blanket. We did that in 15 days. And I don't remember doing it because in those days I really got up early and just said, where are we? I mean, it was, I used to drink a little diet soda and go and have a wonderful, and I was single and now I'm married to a lovely Jewish girl.
Sakto na sa school ako dahil pang nakikinood sa akin yung mga classmate ko. Wala, nakakaya naman.
Except say, but you know what my name is in my marriage? I'm married 31 years. Jack, you're not married.
Yes, I am.
Why? How long you married?
I'm actually married 13 years.
She's staying anyway, close 31 years. So when we're married, we travel all over the world together, and we love each other dearly. But the great remark was, I don't know if you have that good marriage. My great remark is, my wife's great remark is, you don't need that. She picks out 14 dresses, and I say, I think I'm going to try. You don't need that. We got plenty of ties. And so my whole life is, you don't need that. And I walk around in my underwear with a spear, and I look for friends.
You know, have you ever seen Malzy Lawrence?
Oh, of course.
You know his line when he gets out of bed in the morning, walks around the foot of the bed, looks at his wife, she opens her eyes, and he says, "Good morning, dear. Have I offended you in any way?" You have a gymnasium named after you and your wife Barbara. There's a gymnasium named after you.
Yeah, right. In the Sinai Temple out here in California, and it's called the Rickles Gymnasium, actually. But Rabbi Sobel, wonderful man, he promoted that, and I did a show and asked all our friends, but you know how those things are. You ask for benefit, you got to pay back. I had Newhart on, and I got at the end of it, you know what I mean? He keeps calling me up to fix his pipe, fix his toilet, whatever, you know.
Now, he goes with you often on these occasions, right?
Yes, he does, because if you want to get the feeling that there's another body near you, I mean, he doesn't do anything, he just stands there.
Right.
And, you know, once in a while you slap him on the face and he snaps out of it. But, you know, he's not he's the kind of guy on New Year's Eve, you don't blow a horn near him. You can't handle that. You know, you just keep it low-key and nice. In fact, when I first met him, he was at a mortuary hitting caskets.
Is that right?
Yeah, just to relax.
That's good.
But he's a great guy. Bob is the most talented man in the world, and he ought to be.
And his wife, Ginny?
She's okay.
Now, Don, you have been described as having piercing brown eyes.
I had no idea. You really care about me.
Well, you know, you're a very attractive man. I got to be honest with you.
Well, we could work something out.
You know, and I did not. No, I saw it on. You already said 31 years. Milton was an influence in your career.
Yeah, Milton was always, when I first started out, he was great. My best conversations with Milton are. I would say, you know, Milton, I think I have a very good...
Verdao Mandrake, Muito Bonito. Thank you.
He really is.
Love Pangalasan, Kuya Sana all daw po.
I've always loved Milton and still do. He was at my birthday party and he's the best.
Verdao Mandrake, very beautiful. I'm from Brazil. Hello, Verdao, watching all the way from Brazil. Love Pangalasan all kasi ang ganda-ganda daw po ito po. MUP Chelsea Manlano. Pagkasabi salamat. Idris Diallo Pasmal. J. Rafael, good morning sir. Really hope you have a productive day. Good morning, J. Rafael. Thank you for your message.
That's Italian for how's your family.
And so you watch television, basically.
Yeah, we have a set.
We do have a set.
Oh yes, please.
You have a black and white or a color set?
No, black and white. We didn't get that far. Don't push it. We have a little small black and white in the kitchen, and we all watch. I live in one room in Hollywood.
You do.
See, my wife irons and has clothes, and we have a Polish maid that keeps walking around going, blah. And it's lovely. We have a wonderful party.
You have a remote control, or you still walk over to the set every time you want to change it?
Charles, don't make me slap you in the face, please. Don't make me do it. I don't want to do it. Don't make me do it.
And Don, you just turned, God bless you, turned 50 years old.
I wish. No, I don't wish. I take that back. I'm 70.
You wouldn't
I just turned
50?
No, I'm happy now. Why? I feel great. I look good. How old are you, by the way?
I'll be 50.
You look good. Well, I'll tell you this. I'm 70, and age is not the thing. Sure, you look back at when you turn 70, you look around and you say, geez, 70, wow. But when you feel good, and you have a good life, a wonderful wife, kids, 2 wonderful children, and I'm not trying to be, you know, Charlie, everything was sunshine and roses 24 hours a day, but my life has been good, and the people around me, so, I don't know, it's 70, 105.
Arjuna, good morning from India. Hello, good morning, Arjuna.
Well, we hope you do too, because you've been making us all laugh, God, it seems like, forever. Not thanks, you're just great, and I remember every time you'd be on the Tonight Show, I particularly would just sit there and say, God, you just make me laugh out loud, and I appreciate so much everything.
By the way, Tom Snyder didn't want to come here today, but he knew you were hosting something. Don't worry about it. Probably means nothing. Don't worry.
Thanks, Don. I hope to meet you in person. I'm sure you really are a nice guy.
Hey, I'd love to meet your wife. I understand it's
She's a very tolerant person.
Yeah, well, and by the way, you're very devoted to your mother, as I am to mine when she was with us. I commend you for that. You always say goodnight to your mother. I do that too. You're one of the few gentlemen I've heard that talks about his mom as you do it. God bless you for that. I think it's great.
Thanks, Don. Okay, well, we'll go to a break. We'll be back with the part Indian, home shocking millionaires, Honey Stevens.
H12, morning from Indonesia. Morning, H12.
I started to talk to the audience. And over a lot of years of talking to the audience, when a guy would yell at me and say, I'm getting fed up with you, I'm going to suck your neck, or whatever I said. We're at a Hollywood club called Guy, very shy. And my mother, Esther, was a very strong lady and aggressive. My father was outgoing. And so to cover up my insecurities, I started ribbing people because I didn't know how to communicate. And my uncle would come in every moment and say, close your robe, you look ridiculous, And I would make fun of my family, and it sort of became part of me because that was my personality. And yet when I'm away from the camera and I'm with my family or friends, I still kid around a great deal like that. But basically, it started just being part of me. And then I embellished on it, and it became a show, so to speak.
Way back when you were working those old burlesque houses, right? With acts like, we have researchers here, acts like Monique Levine and Zokina and her King Cobra.
I remember the Cobra. But I didn't call them burlesque houses. I worked what we call them strip joints. I mean, they were like the exotic dances. Those girls worked very hard, and they had about 10 girls, continuous entertainment, about 5 comedians. And we went round and round and round from I used to go on, say, 11 o'clock at night until about 5 in the morning. Continuous, and just with sailors, and that time was the war days. It was right after the war. The sailors and soldiers, and they were all just looking for the girls. So that kind of comedy was tough. There was no improv, with Bud Freeman. It was great for young comedians. But it was tough. Guys used to just sit there with zip guns and take you off. They were waiting for girls.
So that, I'm guessing, is really what put it in high gear. This kind of insult the audience sort of thing, because they say, hey, get off, we want to see the girl with the body constrictor.
Yeah, and I could never tell a joke to this day. I couldn't, if you and I had a party, I mean, Well, you and I wouldn't be at a party. But I mean, if we were at a party, I got a little ridiculous. I started to think we're going to hang out.
Ralph Angel, kuya, how to be you daw po, sabi ng mga classmate ko.
I know that. Running after Joe Garage, Joe, they like me. But I did jokes. I'm saying jokes. I did jokes badly. And I did impressions, like a million other comedians. And they were going right in the dumpster. So I started to talk to the audience. And over a lot of years of talking to the audience,
Wala, nakakahiya naman.
getting fed up with
How to be
you,
the magaling na artist na nag-drawing ng realistic.
and they'd start to laugh.
Thank
So
you,
it
pagkasabi
became a
thank you.
conversation with the audience, and that's how that insult thing became little by little, without writing one thing on a piece of paper. It just became part of a performance, and over many years, it developed into what I consider a full job. It took a long time.
I don't know if I got the chronology right here, but sometime in the mid-50s, you were at a Hollywood club called Slate Brothers.
Yeah.
And is that where you met Sinatra, or first got close to Sinatra?
Actually, I met him at a place called Zardy's Jazzland. He came in with Peggy Lee many years ago, California, which no longer exists. And he brought in a party in those days. He wore the straw hat and a coat over the shoulder. He brought it in our garage. And it's the old story. And Frank laughs. Everybody with him goes, I said, good evening. And Frank went, funny stuff. And all the guys went, it's a funny joke. They all talk like that. The
So it's
guys,
kind of an honest reaction that you can really gauge your material by.
what he thinks is funny, I fall on the floor for. But actually, he was great because he would bring in a lot of celebrities and people that enjoyed, and they really, he was a booster that way.
But how did you get the courage at that stage of your career? You're not Don Rickles with Tonight Show appearances and everything else. How did you get the courage to early in your relationship say from the stage to Sinatra, Frank, make yourself feel at home. Punch somebody. I mean, Jilly Rizzo could have come up with an Uzi and that would have been the end of it.
I don't know Jilly Rizzo. Don't drop names like that, Bob. Don't you have a family?
Last time I checked, someone called St. Louis and see if they're still breathing.
I can see him at your show tomorrow night, just sitting in the chair going, why does the left side seem numb? But I got to tell you that these people that were so-called, like Jilly Rizzo, dear friend, guys, he would bring in all the guys, what I call street people, and I relate great with street people, and that was fun for me, to bring in guys that I could really hit with the jokes and how I say to Frank what I said. You have more courage as you're a younger man than you do today. I mean, I still do what I do. But in those days, you threw it to the wind. Anybody that came and said, Frank,
Ralph Angel, kuya, sabi ko sa kanila na it's true yun na nag-improve yung mga drawings.
Whatever I would say to him,
Wow.
and he would laugh. Because you just knew by looking at him that he was for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's been like that ever since.
Dean Martin was a key player in your career too, because I guess shortly after you'd been on the Tonight Show, Martin had his own.
Pero maliit na percentage lang naman yung sa akin. Siyempre, malaking percentage dyan yung tiyaga mo din talaga sa pagpapractice.
Once with Roy Rogers, which was a fun show, and if you know Roy, he was a guy, that he would laugh at grass growing. So, but it was a sweet man, and we had a lot of stuff to bounce off with him. But the big thing was, they turned around and had me go with all stars in the audience. They brought about 15, 25 stars, and they said, Don, just let the camera roll and you make it up and pick out all these people.
Randy Fordyce laughing. Big Academy Award winner. Remember you and Marty? He was so brilliant and mighty, and today it's over. Like that, go figure this business. Baby Rosemary, so many years I've known you. Remember the old days? You, Mary Small, are all in there. And now your career is slowly sinking into it. Look at this, Bob Newhart just said to the wife, he's not going to mention me. Bob Newhart went into shock, his name wouldn't be mentioned. One of the great stammering idiots of our day, Bob Newhart.
When did you first go on Carson?
I started at the very beginning with him in New York, and everybody was afraid to put me on. They said, oh, this guy. And Carson was in front of Dakota. A good friend, they said, hey, let's, Peter LaSalle, they said, let's give Rickles a shot. And they did, and the chemistry worked. I mean,
It's like a motorcycle going by the circuit.
I thought we were in Iran. But, gee, I didn't know, but you got a great studio, real soundproof. Guys in the hall, and the whole place hears it. But chip in and close the doors. But you're a dull guy. How do you stay on it? Even at 1:30 it's dull. But I must say, these kind of things work for me, and so I just threw it all to the wind.
What about the time, and there were so many appearances on the Carson Show, and in the 60s and 70s when you would come on the Carson Show, it was one of these deals, like it later became with George Carlin or Steve Martin. You'd look in the TV guide, or you'd hear the night before that that person was going to be on, and you make a special effort to stay up and watch it, because it had the feeling of an event. It won't stick out in your mind.
The interesting thing is, we always make notes, you know, like you do. Any host always makes notes, and he would always say, they would tell him that Don's going to discuss this, we're going to discuss that, we're going to talk about Newhart, and we're going to talk about this trip, that trip, and blah, blah, blah. I mean, he never looked at the card. I mean, every day night come by, and in Johnny's way, he would just look at me with that stare and just say, well, you know, and I would go from there.
You have signed $3 million.
Well, Pangalo, ano ba yan, kuya, nakakatawa yung narinig ko po? Sitcom po ba yan? Hindi sa sitcom. Interview lang siya ng favorite kong comedian na ang pangalan Don Rickles.
Attitude is very important. Milton Berle once told me that many years ago. And so right, which I think young comedians, some of them that don't make it, they have an attitude. Mine was always, you know, the angry guy, you know, coming on Bob Costas, like I saw you in the hall and said, I don't need this, I don't want it. I mean, and no dressing room, you know, standing in the hall asking me to come and stand in front of me while I take off my pants. It's ridiculous. But I mean, so it's all attitude. That's what makes the performance, I think. Attitude and how you say it. There's other guys that can say certain things to people saying, you're an idiot, and boom, it doesn't come off funny. If you have a way of saying it to a person, they'll laugh.
Roll film. But did you want to explain what it's about? No, who cares? You don't care. Well, no, it's Us Against the World. It's about a group of networks, all the big names. Susan Katz, Al Lipschitz, Larry Green, Marvin Farnham, Lou Grott. Getting on my nerves, Lou.
You used to say at the end of your shows, I'm not sure if you do it anymore, but at the end of your nightclub act, you used to say, you know, it's all an act, and I hope I haven't offended anybody. And some people who were fans of yours said, you shouldn't say that, you shouldn't get out of character. You know, it's all an act, and I hope I haven't offended anybody. And some people who were fans of yours said, you shouldn't say that, you shouldn't get out of character.
Yeah, you really do your homework, yeah. I've had that by many reviewers saying, oh, Rickles cops out at the end. I do a little piece at the end, which I've done for many years. And I'm not copping out. I'm just saying to the guy that's sitting there, the average guy, that I'm a guy just like anybody else. And this was a party, and I was having some fun at the party, and now the party's over, and I hope you got to know me as the guy at the party and as a human being. And that's all I try to say. And a lot of people say, he doesn't need that. I ought to go off with, you know, what some of these guys today are doing with, you know, let your mother get hit by a bus, I'm cleaning it up. But, you know, it's, I feel that it deserves that, and I think the audience, I owe that to the audience. And Franklin's, which again gave me some, like the Slate Brothers, gave me a little reputation in Florida. That time Larry King, by the way, throwing that in, Larry King had a radio show on a houseboat. That's how Larry and I became friends. I used to run over there and do his show at 5 in the morning. Anyway, so we were in Florida, and Jack Park came down there on location at the Mooney Plaza. Everybody said, you gotta get this hot kid in Miami. He'd be great on your show. And you know, Jack Park, who I got to know personally through High Ever, like a friend of mine, socially, and lovely man. He said, gee, Don, I remember that. I didn't know the kind of guy you were, and so forth. And I said, put him on. And they made me a cab driver. And Jack Parr had no idea what I was going to do. And Jack Parr was doing his, folks, I'm here in Florida, and I had to come up with the cab. It's so ridiculous. The cab driver, knowing him, the man was in shock when he saw my face, you know. And I had on the cab driver hat. Up and I walked out, I said, hey, Jack, sweetheart, boom, you want a cab? I'm going to help you, and you're a beauty. Honeysuckle rose, baby, boom. And he went, what are you doing? And I went, like I'm doing now. Hey, Jack, it's great. I'll give you a cab ride right up to Collins Avenue. You with me, baby? We get some broads and booze. Why are you on here? And I went right in the dumper. And I stood there and I said, my career is ending. This man is ending my career. And my mother, was up in the balcony and she said, oh my God, he's through. And the audience was all senior citizens sitting there going, what up, Vice guy? What up, Vice guy? This Vice guy. And that was a disaster.
Didn't someone let Pa in on the joke?
No, I don't think at that time he knew. They said there's a guy that's going to pick on you. But he had no idea that it was going to be like that. And I had no idea he was going to react like that. And I looked into his eyes. You know how you look into a guy's eyes and his eyes said, you're dead. It's over. It's all over for you. And I just looked at him and flop sweat. In those days, I would be soaking wet when I said good evening, no matter where I went. If I sat in a restaurant with my mother, I said good evening. And the waiter said, I'll give him a napkin. The guy's, he's on Guam. I'm soaking wet all. I don't know why. And I keep looking over there. There's nobody there. I'm looking in. I feel like I'm George Shearing. Someone go stand over there. I keep looking over into darkness.
What about the Ed Sullivan Show? It was sort of the same thing, right? You were going to come out and surprise him?
Uche Solomon. Hello.
Knowing that he was a classic, he really was, and a good friend. He said, you know, what are we going to do with Rickles? We can't, he doesn't do jukes. We got to put him on the show. Put him on the show, it'll be fine. What can we do? So Bob Beck came up with an idea, which I didn't think was bad at the time. That every time they bring out an act, I'd run out on stage and tell Ed how wrong this act was for him, and how he should never use this act again. And we'd do that as a running gag. And at that time, it's always the biggest thing in the world. I said, oh, what a great for me. It was like circus. I'll never forget it. You know, the swinging acrobats and the clowns, and it was the tumult of all time. And the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And now, the Bonzini monkeys, whatever the hell it was, you know. And the monkeys come out and they do the whole thing, they do tricks and boom, boom, boom. And I'd run out the stage and go, Ed, I gotta tell you, the monkeys don't make it, you don't look good with the monkeys, and get rid of the monkeys. Why don't you get off the stage? What are you, stupid or something? Those monkeys are marvelous. You're not funny. The monkeys are a riot. And I walked in the wings and I went, wow. What is he doing? He's not supposed to say that. And the guy says, no, he'll catch on. I walked out again. You're a prancing horse or something. I said, you don't need the horse. The horse is running. He's prancing. He's too loud. You're dynamite, Ed. Get rid of the horse. The horse is marvelous, and you're getting on my nerves. I get off the stage and I go, why is he doing this? And it went like that until I was right in the dumper again. I went back to the hotel with him and I said, he said, you were marvelous. What a show we had. I said, Ed, you ruined me. That was that.
What debt, if any, do you owe to Jackie Leonard, who was a little bit before you, and he used to do some insult stuff himself?
It's interesting to say that. Jack was a good friend. He always said, you're doing me, kid, you're doing me, which was not the case, because Jack always felt that I was doing him. Jack was a jokester. He really did, one-line puns, All right, you little cocker, your mother was a suck a bathtub, whatever. People go, ah. And I didn't work like that. I did more or less just talking in general without leading to a joke. And the joke came out of the conversation, if that makes sense. But that's pretty much, and he was a one-line machine gun kind of thing. And I'm a machine gun kind of guy when I work, but it doesn't come out as a joke as Jack's did. Jack's were primarily jokes. That's the best way I can describe it.
Early in your career, didn't you open for Louis Prima?
Yeah, well, the word is, I really can't say I opened. In those days they called it sets. For the lack of another word, open is fine. But I mean, I went on at Louis Prima was the star in the lounge. We worked over a bar, no bigger it was. Short little bar with maybe 10, 15 people in front of you. They were missing their mouth. We had a shishi crowd going, belching on the socks. And I would go on at midnight, and then Louis Prima would be the kid, and it was marvelous at 2 in the morning. And then I would go on again at like 3:30, then again like 5 in the morning. 5 in the morning, I don't remember. I used to go on at
5 in the morning?
Yeah, but with a few vodkas, I used to just stand out there and say, how was the show?
And what would the audience look like?
Derelicts. There was a lot of this. Relatively great. But it was a show, and they had a steam table, and they were serving breakfast while you were on. I mean, guys would have an eggs going, Charlie, pass the rolls. And you were up there to telling us some dumb remark, and the guy going, more eggs, and then the chef was hitting the steam tip.
And these are really the degenerate gamblers who just kind of have been up around the clock, and they're waiting for the casino to open again or the guy to come back to deal again at the blackjack table.
Oh, yeah. Oh, fanatic gamblers, yeah. They stay up all night and all day. Bloodshot eyes and they were there. But I got news, it was an experience. And at that time, in the lounge, Shecky Green was the first guy to really make it happen in the lounge in those days. And then I came along. And then little by little, many other performers worked. But it was really standing over a bar. That's really concentration to get people. And I used to jump over and run into the casino. I'll never forget it. And the guys are gambling, and I'd say, hold it! Hold it! Stop the gambling! It's too noisy! And they'd all go. And everybody in the casino stopped. Similar to Sinatra when I made him stop. He was sitting with it's in the lounge at the Sands. We were sitting together, and he was sitting at another table with all security around him, and I was with this girl, classy, I've told this story many times, classy girl, with lipstick over here, and I was single and in terrible heat, I was looking for an old monkey, anything, bad shape.
It's good that you reveal yourself this way, though.
Oh, yeah, well, nobody watches this. If I thought anybody was watching, would I be telling you this? Hey, so I was there with this girl, and she said, do you know Frank Sinatra? I figured, she says, yeah, it's a big chance for a score here, I said, yes, I do. She said, well, if I could beat him. I said, sweetheart, it's done. And I walked over to Frank on my knees and went, Frank, if you could come over to the table and just say hi to me and the girl would help you. He said, you got it, kid. And he walked over to the table, make a long story short, and I walked over to Frank on my knees and went, if you could come over to the table and just say hi to me and the girl would help you. He said, you got it, kid. And he walked over to the table, make a long story short, the violins are playing, we're serving drinks. And he leans over and says, hi, Don. I go, Frank, not now. Can't you see I'm with people? I'm talking to the girl. How do I know if your album's going to sell? Get out of my way. And the girl dropped the drink and just went, oh, my God. And he had me thrown out.
Is only just beginning to dislike me intensely, which means that the best is yet to come. We'll give him a chance to get warmed up and then really pull the sword out tomorrow night. In the meantime, I want to remind you, he's at the Golden Nugget in Las Vegas.
Uche Solomon, wow, great texture. Thank you.
Thanks for staying up later. We're back with Don Rickles. We talked about some of the appearances on the Carson show and his nightclub act the last time. Did you ever feel as if, just by the law of averages, doing hundreds of shows, you went over the line accidentally and then you regret it?
I don't think I regret it. One time I said, gee, I really dug into that person in my beginnings. I think as years went on and I found success, that I never thought about it twice. I mean, I always said, I'm right. If they can't handle that, they got a problem. But in my beginnings, I would say, yes, I dug in a little deep, but that's what made people look up. Because if you come out like a monk and sing a choir song, nobody's going to care,
What's your first name, Mohammed? What's your first name? My bed. How the hell did you get in the front? Look at the way they put it. They could pick me up in 5 minutes. Right in the front, I got a forgot the Arab over here, a squoozed up gypsy girl over there, 3 kids in heat over here, a German pain in the ass over here, 2 chaps that passed away, trick-or-treat hobby with a turtle-neck sweater, Ma Frickett sitting over there waiting for the Pillsbury bake-off, the Spanish guy planning to attack the Mexican, and 2 Polacks in the end waiting for their truck to be fixed.
I always had to pick on people and make it work for me, and that doesn't help all the time, because when I did, interesting enough, when I did television, I had 3 television series. Carson, all of them loved to say, what's your next bomb coming up? I had CPO Shockey, the Don Rickles Show on ABC, CBS, the Don Rickles Show, and then I had follow-up Scoops and Blunders with Steve Lawrence, which was a mistake from the beginning. Not Steve, it was great, but every show, overnight, Chicago, New York, Detroit, biggest thing, forget about it. We had to run alongside of my limo, knocking on the window, Don, say hello. And then when we got to Des Moines, we started at Elko, Nevada. The 3 guys were like, Mary, shut it off, that loud guy's on, So those were tough places for me to get. But overnights in the major cities, I was always successful.
So, but I would also think with those TV shows, even though they tried to open them up and let you be yourself, it misses the electricity and the danger of a live television shot. That's where you were at your best. What's going to happen when he comes out on the Tonight Show? Is it going to work? Is he going to get out of the world? What might he say? for better or worse, it's live, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, yeah. It's very true. That excitement, but how do you create that? See, guys would say in shows that I was on, when I had my own show, they'd say, hey, let Don do a rampage. Let him just say anything, fill in here. And if you can't really do that, then you become the guy I do on the nightclub stage, and you wanted to make it a character. So we were confused sometimes between the character and Don Rickles. So it was hard to blend sometimes.
You know what you look like, Robinson? A man on welfare. Who's just been told he has 3 ex-wives to support. All ugly.
Hey man, you gotta be kidding about this. I mean, you gonna throw away 24 years, give up a career just because your new CO is a woman? You got it. Hey man, what is the matter with you? There are women in the service all over the world. Well, I just read the other day that in China, they got a woman who's captain of a ship.
In China, they can get away with it. They all wear pajamas, and they all look alike.
You gonna send this in to the CO, huh?
No, I'm gonna send it to Dear Abby and sign it puzzled in San Diego.
Do you have any kind of regret at all? I mean, not that you traded on balance, but any kind of regret that your tremendous success and visibility as a comic pretty much eliminated any chance to be an actor in most roles, because people would say, wait a minute, that's Don Rickles.
Well, that's the price you have to pay when you get that kind of identification. You know, I was always, as you know, the insult guy, Mr. Warmth, you know, the Sultan, whatever, all these titles they gave me. And it was tough to overcome. Producers would back off a little bit because you get this image. But as I say, you can't have it all. I still feel before the big guy in the sky can fix the hook for me. I would love to do something, which is a little bit away from character, and hopefully that will happen. But I've had my chances. I've done a few films that Rat Race I played a heavy in that, and that was a picture with Debbie Reynolds and Tony Curtis a lot of years ago. But as I got more and more popular with this kind of image, it was tough. Yet you take a young, brilliant guy, like a young man like a Billy Crystal, who's become a big star in motion pictures. That's great because he's always been funny, but he's never had that image of, like you said, the guy that was rapping on people. And so when you have a tough image, it's hard for people to shake that thought of you.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of Billy's success as a comic is in getting into characters.
Yes, he
rather than
being
getting
one
a
as
specific
himself.
Billy Crystal persona.
Absolutely, and he's wonderful.
Another film you're on is Run Silent, Run Deep with Burt Lancaster and Clark Gable.
Yeah, I carried it. Yeah, I'll never forget the first time. I was the first picture. I never was on a movie set. It was at Goldwyn, right out here, and I had to read for this thing, and I had one of those work lights on stage. And I came to the studio and with this. I was with Henry Slade and a few other people. And we walked in and he said, Mr. Rickles, you're going to read for this part. And I said, and it was pitch dark, and I was just standing with a light, and Robert Wise was the director, and I said, well, will Clark Gable or Burt Lancaster? No. They'll be on the stage, they'll just read the lines for you. And you just read it, and you'll hear them answer the lines, and you do it. And I stood out there, and I said, whatever the lines were, I said, well, the ship is sinking, sir. Will the men be all okay? Should we fire the torpedo? And a voice off camera went, take it down 100 feet, dive, don't worry. And I went, and I started to spit up on myself. And Clark Gable said, you have a problem, young man? And I went to pieces, but fortunately I got the part.
Were you entertaining on the set with guys like Gable and Lancaster, or were you too intimidating?
No, I wasn't at the beginning. But there was a guy called Jack Warden, who's a marvelous actor. Great sense of humor. Jack haven't seen him in years, but he was a funny guy. And he did a lot of nice things, and Gable used to love it, We once got completely undressed, Jack Warden and we embraced each other and sneaked into Gable's, I never told us, and sneaked into Gable's trailer. And Clark Gable was a very humble guy. He really very quiet guy. Got a little scotch in it. Jerry, buddy. And Burt Lancaster used to sit around and go, we're gonna do another scene in a couple of minutes. He said, 5. And Burt was still doing those days doing circus tricks. Whatever that means. And so we both got dressed and we were in the thing, and Cable walked in. He saw us both on the bed went, "Oh my God, they're out of control like that. I think they're fat. Wow. Damn, I don't know what's happening here. Wow. Wow." Then he went nuts. Hey, sweetheart, we're just having a good time. What do you worry about? Yeah, we did crazy things like that.
Kind of an enlightening tale behind the scenes of an epic motion picture.
Yes.
Speaking of epic motion pictures, you will be surprised and perhaps flattered to know that long before I ever knew that I'd be sitting here with you, I had seen Man with the X-Ray Eyes, the Roger Corman film with you as the carnival barker and Ray Milland as a guy who was, people thought he was a circus act, but he actually could see through stuff.
That's right. And he had his eyes fixed. They had to, put things in his eyes and make it like giant eyes. And he got an infection. The guy almost died doing this part. And in those days, we did a movie in 15 days. You just came in, there was no rehearsal, nothing. They had roll him. You went, "What's my first name? Good evening." "Oh, good evening." And you did it, and you boom, 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 and went like crazy. But it was a great experience. And that picture, surprisingly enough, in those days when we did those quickies, those little thrillers, they made money. And I played a real heavy in that. And Ray Lamb was a great guy. All those guys, it's interesting. Cable, Burt Lancaster, who's he's watching. He hasn't been too well, but I wish him the best. Burt Lancaster, Clark Gable, and you go back, Tony Quinn. All those guys, they really are wonderful actors. Burt Lancaster, Clark Gable, and you go back, Tony Quinn. All those guys, they really are wonderful actors. Gary Cooper, who I just met once or twice. All those kind of guys never did the method or anything. They were pretty much themselves.
Yeah.
But they portrayed, if they were supposed to be sad, they acted sad. It's like the joke. Like you say, Clark Gable, you say, "All right, roll him." And he says, "Steve, I'm fed up with you, and I'm going to kill you." And then you go, "Cut." He goes, "How about going to lunch?" That's the same guy, Everybody's like, "What a great actor." That's what always knocked me out,
Burrito Noodle, I'm glad you have the capacity for the patience to prepare for this. This is amazing. It looks like she will turn and look over here at any moment. Wow, thank you for a great comment, Burrito Noodle. Thank you.
My wife and I have never been to. Have you been to a steak dinner?
No.
Right. Don't make
I
it.
was actually invited to the White House once.
Were you really?
Yeah. You want to hear the story? Maybe you don't.
No, I got time.
I was invited to the
12:30 in the morning. Where are we going?
I was invited to the White House because Bush invited these baseball announcers. He invited Jack Buck and Tim McCarver. And I think Vin was invited, Scully, but he couldn't make it because the National League playoffs were opening in Chicago. It was in early October. And I was going to do the American League playoffs in Oakland, Toronto, and the A's. And I felt that I couldn't give up the day before as preparation and then fly in overnight because it was the last series that NBC was going to do before we lost the baseball. So with regret, I had to pass up this chance to go to the White House, and basically Bush has been a broken man ever since.
How's it going? George, I never said it. A 38-year-old kid did it.
So anyway, you were at a steak
Yeah,
dinner.
so I was at a steak dinner, and it was for the president of Tunisia. And I, being Jewish, that's one of my favorite countries. So there's a lot of sheets, and a lot of guys went, one guy had a sword, which I thought was out of line. You might make me Jewish again. Oh, funny stuff. If only it was on his show, it was on early. But I went to the White House for the President of Tunisia, and Barbara Bush was great. And the seating, when they came to the seating, was another story. By the fireplace was Barbara Bush, and the Marine Guard took me over and said, "This is your seat." I said, "No, it must be a mistake. This is Barbara Bush, and that seat is mine." He said, and all of a sudden the voice said, "Sit down." It was Barbara Bush. And I sat down next to her. We had the best time in the world, because we had this Arab gentleman sitting alongside of her.
Kenturius, what pencils do you use? For this portrait, I use Cretacolor Nero oil-based charcoal pencils.
Maybe he saw my mezuzah. But, no, it was a wonderful time. And we got to be friendly. Well, she knew me for the inaugural Ronald Reagan. Previous to this, I did the inaugural with Frank Sinatra, blah, 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 and the cabinet went into shock when they heard I was going to be on it, but it was great with Ronald Reagan. Anyway, so that's how I got to meet them originally. Now, they're up at Camp David, and for some crazy reason, she saw Beach Blanket Bingo, Barbara Bush, and in her own handwriting, wrote me a note and said, "I'm going to show me the classics of all time." Beach Blanket Bingo.
Hi, Didi! Hi, Frankie! Come on, Didi! Stand up and get my friend. You two 43-year-old yo-yo standing around the house. Grow up! You're a man around, Frank. How often you stay in the bathroom in front of American food?
Sabi mo siya, mag-dress ka na.
You're 43, Frank. You're old and wrinkled. Can you still say, Frank? You're scared.
And she, and my wife and my father, she wrote
It's an interesting image. Calling Powell on the hotline and Bush is in watching Beach Blanket Bingo. That is. If you sit with Ronald Reagan or George Bush, do they want to be insulted? Do they want you to do you for them?
No, I've never got accepted, for Ronald Reagan, and I think Ronald Reagan knew me when he was governor, and I ripped him at many roasts at the Friars, and so he knew pretty much. I think George Bush has always been a wonderful man, but I don't think he wanted John Nichols to stand up and say, "I'm getting fed up, George." I mean, in fact, I was at a Bob Hope thing when he was running for president, and Bob Hope got up and said, "Don, you come on in, you'll do a few minutes." Well, Bob Hope that night happened to go over. So he said, you don't have to get up. And I was all set. The pus was coming out of her mouth. I was ready for the poison, really, give the president some shots, the future president. And he said, you don't have to get up. And I said, I'll just say a few words. And George Bush leaned over and said, don't get up. You don't say nothing. And he was so nervous that I was going to get up and say something wrong. Anyway, we became friends. And then I saw the president at as I said, at the dinner. And he was great. He walked by and went, hello. And that was about it. Dan Quayle was the one that hung with me. He said, can we have a drink together? I said, don't beg, I hate that. So Dan Quayle and I walked around a little bit. But the president was very nice, and Barbara Bush. They were a wonderful couple, forgetting politics. They're both very down-to-earth people. He really is a sincere man. I don't know why I'm saying this. I'm not going to run for governor, I got my own troubles, Back after the why.
What does it feel like, even after you've had some success, when you hit that night where, for whatever reason, it isn't working and you think you're dying on stage? Is there any way to describe the loneliness and the desperation that you feel?
Well, for me, I always kept going. It's the concentration. I always kept going like I was a hit. I used to say, they're wrong, I'm great. You know in your heart when you're not really making it. There's no question about that. But you never let an audience know. That's the kiss of death. And I think in my entire career, I never let an audience, even in everything is relative, even when I made $100 a week and struggling in joints, I never let an audience know that I was falling on my you-know-what. And I think that's good advice for any of us, in any business thing. If you show them, hey, when the show was over, certainly I told my mother, she was a great influence on me, and I told her all my stories, and then later on my wife, Barbara, we would discuss, when you're not cutting, all of us know. But yeah, I always had the dignity for myself to never let the audience know that I was falling on my face.
You mentioned your mother several times, and when she was living, you often referred to her in your act. You'd come out and say to Carson, I was talking to my mother after the last time I was on. This was her take. Why do you think your relationship with your mother was so close?
Well, I called her the Jewish Patton. That was my fun name with her. And she really wanted me to be a different kind of performer. I have no no excuse about that. It's the truth. She wanted me to be Alan King. She said, why can't you be like Alan King? Or like you said, why do you have to insult people? Why couldn't you just come out and tell jokes? I said, Mom, I don't do that. But the great thing about her was that she was very supportive. I was a very terrified guy when I was a young man. I was uptight about a lot of things. And, she really worked on me and made me believe in what I did, even though she didn't sometimes think that was so funny. But she really believed in me, and she was a strong woman. She wasn't the most perfect woman in the world, but for me, she did a lot. And I was almost like, my father died young, so I was almost like a second husband, if that makes sense, to her. I was everything to her. She lived her life through me, because she wanted to be an entertainer. And I think I performed, and she saw herself as me. And she wanted to be where I was. And doing so, she helped me to gain confidence.
Would you hear from her that her contemporaries had said, oh, I saw your boy Donnie, and I know he's successful and he's very funny, but he is mean. Why did he say that?
Oh, sure.
They wouldn't get it, you know?
Oh, sure. She would get that. And she would always defend me. And then she would say quietly, you know, Rose was right. You didn't have to call that guy an old man. You didn't have to do that, you know. And then I'd say, well, the check is here, right, Mom? And she'd say, I don't like that kind of humor. She did that, see, because her gums would lock. But she was something else. But it's the last of a breed, you know. So, and the joke was I got lucky. I married a woman that just said, now remember, I'm not your mother, that's my wife. And I said, I'm not going to be your mother. I'm me. And she really has been herself in her own right. Because you got to realize when you're 38 years old and never married and tight and living in the same apartment with your mother all those years, I mean, and a girl comes along, it's a tough deal. All of a sudden, here he is, and
So even into your late 30s, you were living at home with your mother?
yeah.
And at that point, you were reasonably successful out there.
Yeah, well, I was doing okay, yeah. But, you know, when you travel on the road, you know, you met Laverne, you know, you didn't want to marry her, you know, because she did card tricks. So, you didn't exactly meet, you know.
Living the dream, you know, BMD growing is looking good.
She was
Thank you.
dancing in the hall, nude. So it
Anong
wasn't
oras
easy.
dyan,
I was
Gab?
fortunate to meet my barber.
So gabi dyan ngayon.
We've been together, married happily 26 years.
Rickles at the Golden Nugget in Vegas and at Bally's in Atlantic City. Now, before we go, Bruce Kornblatt, our producer, who evidently is a Rickles expert,
Devoted human being.
absolutely, but too shy.
Ayatollah Khomeini couldn't have people love me as much as this man. Bruce, I'm telling you from my heart, you should be in this chair. You're better than this man. You're dynamite, Bruce. You're the best living thing. And basically, your personality is weak. Work on that, Bruce. Work on that. And see your dentist. The right tooth. Bad.
Just say goodnight. I'm leaving the seat. I'm leaving the seat for Kornblatt. He's too shy, but I'm leaving it.
Okay. For Kornblatt, maybe Bob Newhart wants to be the host. He'll do anything to get work. Thanks a million. Good night, folks. Wasn't that a dull half hour? I can't stand this man. This man's going nowhere. Look at him. All he left is a toy mic. 11-year-old dummy got hot in this business. Go figure. And I gotta kill myself at 64. But I still got it. The left side could be picked up a little bit.
10:30 p.m.
So good. Is it over? I can't take it anymore. Costas was stiff. This man doesn't belong in the air. Oh, God. Now I gotta go over and run after Johnny Carson's card.
50 years, Don Rickles has earned a reputation as one of our top linemen. He'll be appearing at the Trump Taj Mahal in City at the end of May, and he's on the boards at Carnegie Hall in New York on the 12th of June, which I know is going to be a big night. Congratulations, Don, and happy 70th birthday. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. That's not it. Oh, that's not about it. And it's not 50. It's giving me. It's 4. I'm not. This is 50.
Listen, kids,
Johnson's in this is 50. Yes, he's not it.
70 years old. That's a milestone. Congratulations, son.
You're going to have service?
No, we're not going to have services, but you know I like you a great deal. I know you had a wonderful party and all your friends were there, and I think it's terrific.
Well, you were on the list, but it's touching. Well, your name came up, and I went, forget it. You know, doesn't pick it up. Anyway, it's great to be 70. Hey, it's how you feel.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I feel damn old. I swear.
No, you don't.
I get up in the morning and say, the light's not moving. Well, I feel great. I feel great.
You know what's interesting? I turned 60 the weekend that you turned 70. I don't feel 60. I'm sure you don't feel 70. I think I'm about 25 years old. I mean, I feel terrific, and I still have...
But you don't look good.
I know I don't. I don't have your gene.
Because I mean, you don't. You gotta lay down. You gotta get checked.
But like you, have great enthusiasm for your work. You still get charged.
Oh, sure. Today I don't kick out one stage. Museums, hanging out in the wings going, why does the family keep asking me for checks? The wife just sits there with the jewelry sickling chips. Anyway, so I gotta be nice. It's not easy, Tom. Then you gotta do pasties and did night training. Ba-boom, ba-boom. And the soup was to dance. The guy serving the soup was to dinner. And all the guys sat in the front. The boy.
Here we go. Our next guest is a good friend of ours and a comedy legend. He'll be performing at the Orleans Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas on June 5th and 6th. He is Mr. Warmth himself, Don Rickles.
Living the Dream, is that a podcast or TV? No, it's on my computer. I'm just binge watching old interviews of my favorite comedian, Don Rickles. Quadrigen Arts. Quadrigen Arts.
I never liked that, Paul. Get rid of him. 51 years, Don Rickles has been a headliner. 51 years a headliner in Las Vegas. Nobody. And nobody comes close to that.
Well, thanks, Dick. By the way, it's great to see you.
It's terrific.
Well, you're getting older too, and I get older too, but I feel great.
Now, let me ask you a question. If there were no Las Vegas, where would a guy like you have had such a great career?
On a sanitation truck.
Las Vegas like when you started out there?
Well, you know, you had to do good because everybody had a gun. No, that's true. He always used to sit in front of me. Hey, let us do another juke rack, and I'm gonna put a bullet in his head. No, they were wise guys, but they were great. They really were. You know, if you weren't funny, your home burned.
Right.
Anyway.
Now, did you ever have any trouble? Did anybody take you aside and say, hey, knock off the this or knock off the
No,
that?
Sinatra was my bodyguard.
Oh. Frank was pivotal in your career, wasn't he?
You kidding?
Yeah.
He woke up in the morning and went, the summer wind, is Rickles alive? Anyway, Frank was great. I could say a lot about him, because
Yeah.
anyway,
But now, take us back. I look at that.
you look at those birds. I like that first group. Look out.
Cute kids, don't you think?
They go to college. Can you see one of them will be president someday?
They were cute kids. Didn't you think they were cute kids?
Yeah, they were all right.
Yeah. You know, Johnny, your buddy Johnny Carson used to have them on his show all the time.
So what do you want me to do? Drop my pants and fire a rocket?
Here now, Don Rickles dropping his pants and firing a rocket. Here we go. Everything's off. Stand by. Get ready. Firing a rocket.
What are you saying about you saying something?
Yeah, go down memory lane. Now tell us who was in
Burrito noodle, that's a good idea. Use paintbrushes for blending. Did you work from the top down so that you wouldn't smear it and get all over your hands? Yeah, that's the purpose of well. Yeah, I always start from up going down because it's okay that some of the powder fall down because you can just cover it with actual layers. Christine Levine, hello.
Means the bird got excited, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in. Now listen, tell us a little bit. It was you and Sammy, your good friend Sammy Davis Jr., and Frank, of course, Dean Martin. Well, you know what they advertise all the time are these Dean Martin roasts.
Oh, they would.
And you're featured in them. Tell us a little, some flavor of those.
You know what, David? The truth of it is, there was such, and folks, every time I'm here, I look out and I get to think, I'm going blind. You people on television don't know it's all flat in the area. I got cataracts.
Right. Well, don't you...
The clays of the group, people like Orson Welles, rest his soul, Jack Benny, Dean Martin, of course, was
Johnny
Carson. Yeah, there were so many great people. Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was great. I kidded him when he was the governor, and I did the roast. There's one guy who went, yeah. Is he around? He's making pancakes. He's a little aside, I understand. Thank you. Just to keep me going because you're no help.
I know.
Anyway.
It was Greg Garrison who produced the roast?
Greg Garrison, rest his soul. He was great. And you know how he did that day? And ladies and gentlemen, he always said everybody had something. I was kind of proud of this.
CC or CC?
Rickles does whatever he wants. I trust him, let him just do his
Hello.
thing. And I never had anything written for me, and I just winged it right off the top of my head. And one thing I always remember is Frank Sinatra always used to sit, when I was the host, he'd sit next to me and he'd smoke, and the smoke was coming up. He'd say, what the hell is this, London? Anyway, and at that time, Frank laughed. I mean, now I would have been on Jerry Lewis telephone. Anyway, walk on, well, forget about it.
But it was good fun. Now, do you ever watch some of those tapes now? Because there's some, like you said, tremendous talent.
I do, but every time I do, the wife wants to drive out to the cemetery. Anyway, so many of them are gone, Mr. Stokes. You know, so many greats. I'm still here because God said, keep it going, kid.
Anyway, good for you. Good for you. We'll be right back. Don Rickles, everybody. Don Rickles.
I'm up in the attic, unit. What are you doing up there? I told you not to go up there and climb up all those stairs till we got here. Eunice, I'm not an invalid yet. Oh, my Lord. Oh, howdy. I haven't been up here in ages. Well, just never mind all the chit-chat. We got to sort through all this stuff.
Well, Lord, that's gonna take all day.
And if you didn't want to help Mama, why didn't you say so in the first place?
Well, I thought that's what I did say.
I'm telling you right now, Eunice, I'm gonna get nervous if it gives me the rush act.
I thought you were just gonna pick out a few souvenirs and some memorabilia. You're gonna go rummaging through all this.
Well, yeah, neither did I, but since we are here, why don't we just make the best of it? All right, now, Mama, where do you want us to start? Huh? Well, I can't even think now. I was hoping that Ed might be good enough to get that box from up there down for me if he wasn't in one of his almighty rushes to nowhere.
It's not that I'm in a rush exactly. I just would like to get to the bowling alley sometime before they run out of my shoe size.
Look at this old picture, Eunice. It's the whole family on Mom's front porch. Oh, my Lord.
Man's got to unwind sometime. The hard work takes a lot out of you.
There she is there. There's your mom. And there's your daddy. And there's Ellen. And this fat lady here with the bandage on her ankle. That's your Aunt Ellen Williams. Which one is me, Mama? Which one is me? Up there in your arm. Right there with your finger in your mouth. And look at Ellen standing there next to you. And she's the cutest little thing you ever did see. Just adorable. Up in the attic, Ellen Angel. Why didn't you tell me Ellen was coming over here to help too? Well, I can't keep track of everything I say. Mike, if you please try to get along with your sister, you hear? Me? Why don't you tell her to get along with me? I'm not the snooty, stuck-up one. I can get along with anybody if she just let me try. Hello, Mom. Hi, dear. It's been too long.
Long time no see, Ellen. Lost tricks.
Tricks are fine, Ed. Oh, my, but I cannot get over how small this place looks. Isn't that always where you must when you've been away from the place for a long time? Well, I wouldn't know. You see, I come over here to visit Mama fairly often, Ellen. And I don't come over often enough. Oh, what fun! Here you telling me how to conduct my life again. How are things in the plumbing business, Ed?
There ain't no plumbing business. I'm in hardware.
Hardware, of course. I don't know what it is, but whenever I see you, I always think of septic tanks. All right, you two, now won't you take everything out of this place that you want, because I'm going to take everything out. Now, this is some of your old stuff. Lord, Mama, I didn't want any of this junk 20 years ago. What would I want with it now? What's this? Oh, no. Oh, my Lord. Oh, Mama, this is a picture I drew of my little pet bunny rabbit, Fluffy. See, Mama, see the drawing I did? That's a rabbit? I always thought that was a kangaroo. Oh,
He's my very best friend. I used to come home from school every day and play with him in the backyard. Oh, Mama, surely you remember Fluffy.
Yes, I remember Fluffy. She didn't take care of that rabbit. His cage was a disgrace. You could smell a damn thing all over the place.
Then one day I came home from school and I ran out in the backyard to play with him, and his cage was empty. He got away somehow. He disappeared and I never saw him again.
Eunice, we had 2 months of hysterics at the time. You're not going to start up again now, are you? You didn't take care of him, and you played too rough with him. You just poking at him and pinching him and squeezing him and squeezing. That poor rabbit must have run off in 2 different directions.
Okie dokie, here's your box. Now, is that all you need me for? I'd like to get going if you don't mind.
And can't you just relax a little bit? Don't you see that Mama's enjoying this trip down memory lane?
Can't we just go a little faster down memory lane?
Oh, look here. This is your Aunt May's stuff. Keep this for me, Thelma, and I'll come pick it up in a week or 2. Then she up and died on me. 35 years I've been stuck with this box of junk. Babe, would you please untie this knot for me? Boogie by the Andrews sisters.
You got the Andrews sisters album over there? Let me look at that. This whole time here? Well, remember how you and me and Gail down the street used to play like we was the Andrews sisters? Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Hold tight. Hold tight. Hold tight. Hold tight. Hold tight. Is that the one from Seafood, Mama? We used to run a show in the backyard and all the neighbors would come around and watch us. I was Patty Andrews. I was the one chosen to be in the middle.
Chosen to be in the middle. You threatened to punch Gail and me in the face if you weren't the middle. Oh, and haven't you got that knot untied yet?
No, look, if you were some nice old lady.
Look at this old picture, Ellen. It's the whole family, and it's the last picture we ever took of Mama. God love her. She worked her fingers to the bones for us kids. What I want to be when I grow up. Why, Ellen Harper. I wasn't that precious. Well, I'm sorry if I was boring you.
Mama, you don't bore me none. Why don't you tell me about it, Mama? Now, which was the aunt here that's real fat and has
I
that?
already told you once that your Aunt Eloise. You never listen to anything I tell you. All you care about is which one's me, which one is what.
I'm sorry, I get interested.
Surely you have lived long enough to learn not to react to Mother. Oh, this book is something else. I would also like to be a novelist, a concert pianist, spelled with 2 L's, but I and the wife of the richest man in the world. Oh, the potential of you. She was so cranky that day. We were all sorry we came over. She was the one that whined and wheedled to get us all over there. Never could do anything to please that old biddy. Ed, I could have gone downtown and back in the time it's taken you to do it.
Say, Harry, how did it? Outside the thing? That's her now.
Never could do anything to please her. I remember one time I put a stamp on an envelope for her. I didn't even do that right. One of you got any use for this god-awful thing?
Well, let me see that.
What's that? That looks like it could be a Tiffany lampshade. Well, isn't that just they all over loud and gaudy? I bet it is. I'll bet anything. Right there, Tiffany and Company. Oh, that looks stunning in my dining room bedroom. Well, if you say so, I would keep my garbage if you take it.
Well, let's not bother to ask Eunice if she might want it. Wouldn't help anyway, because you already gave it to her, didn't you?
Eunice, if you stop all the songs and dances, if you want this thing, just say so.
All right, yes, I do. I want it.
Yeah, we got a dining room window.
Well, then I guess we just have to let Mother decide. Well, you just stop all this silly fussing. I give the lamp to Ellen, and that's the way Aunt May would have wanted it, so that's that.
Aunt May would have wanted it that Ellen, is she up here hoovering around the attic like that's where the gold, telling you, whispering in your ear what the Ellen gets it?
We do not need blasphemy units, for pity's sake. There's plenty of other lamps up here. Take this one. Now you're eating.
Oh,
Hey, I like this. I think I can fix this thing up pretty good. I'll need some new wire, and I found a gold mine over here. Look at this. All this fan needs is a new blade. And look here, this scale here, all it needs is a new pointer. I tell you, I find a gold mine here. I can sell some of this stuff at the store.
You could, well then in that case we can split the profits 50-50.
The hell you say?
Neil Singh Chauhan. Hello.
This is the first place,
you
Ed.
just knock it off, Mama. You know he can't even get 25 cents for that stuff. He can't even sell the new stuff he's got in the store. You know him. He's just going off the deep end again.
I don't mind you put me down around the house. Don't you put me down in front of your building.
Oh,
Don't you know?
man on it, I had to listen to this the last time we were together. But now just be careful with that. You're going to break me there. Mama, I am not 5 years old and I will thank you not to talk to me the way you do to these two.
Now, Ellen, we must learn not to react to Mom.
All my life, all I ever got from you two was disrespect. Nothing has changed. Don't. I'm sorry, honey. I'll be careful. I think I'll just take this China along me perfect for Bridge Club.
You sailing off with that China, too? I got an idea, Ellen. Why don't you just hire a van and have them come over here and turn off the entire attic for you?
You know, it is a very ugly thing to see such pettiness and jealousy within one's own family.
You got a whole closet just chock full of China. I don't even have one dish without a crack in it. You already got that Tiffany lamp. You do not need that China.
And who do you entertain? I mean, just how many big parties do you and the plumber here give in that little cracker box you live in?
And you just lay off of our house. We all know we live in a dump.
Now, just a minute.
I'm here to tell you right now that the world is sick and tired of hearing you go on and on about that two-story job that you live in with its built-in stoves and its sliding door closets and its step-down den and its double toilet paper dispenser. I mean, the world would think you live in the Taj Mahal instead of a two-bit tract house in a snooty part of a hick town.
Beauties.
And while we're on the subject, just how many millions of bucks has that pipsqueak of a husband got that you married, huh?
Oh, little sister dear, if I had dragged you to marry what you did, I would stay off the subject of husband.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Lord, how much does a man have to take? I can take one of them sometimes. And I can even take two of them after I've had a couple of belts. But I'm telling you right now, I can't take three, you damn dragons.
I can't stand all this tension. Oh, shut up, brother. You're always deliciously happy when anybody else is miserable. You always have been. Well, let me tell you something, Eunice. I think it's time you knew. You remember that Friday that Fluffy the rabbit disappeared? Well, toots that wasn't fried chicken we had for supper that night.
Mama, you tell me that it's so.
Oh, for pity's sake, Eunice, how the hell you expect me to remember what we had for supper 30 years ago?
This pickle puss. My father drilled it in me never to hit a woman that wasn't married. But in your case, I'm going to throw Mary left on the tooth.
Oh, knock it off, Ed. Everybody knows you're scared to take on a 10-year-old boy.
You take a good long look at that pasty-faced dancer you hooked up with.
Cannibal!
Oh my God, I'm a cannibal too! Love me, love me, love me!
Lord have mercy, we're not going to ever hear the end of this. Eunice, will you look at it this way? If we hadn't eaten the damn thing up, he'd be dead by now of old age.
Just think! Just how many other lies did you tell me when I was a little kid, Mama? How many other ones? Oh my Lord, I gotta review my entire life!
Well, I sure do hate to miss that, but I've got a luncheon. Goodbye, Mama. It's been swell. I'll pick up the china tomorrow.
Look out, Ellen. That lance is gonna flip. See, I told you he was gonna drop that. But one lucky thing, he's still got your china here.
Do you know you are cuckoo? They're gonna put you away one day, little sister, and I'm gonna be more than happy to sign the papers. And that goes for the plumber, too. Eunice, was that really necessary? Shut up, you rabbit killer.
Ladies and gentlemen, Elaine May.
I don't know if I can follow that clip. This is a very emotional night for me because 10, 20, 30 years ago tonight, I bought this dress. I bought it for Mike's first Lifetime Achievement Award. And at the time, he promised me that from then on he would only do mediocre work so that I wouldn't be inconvenienced again. And then year after year after year after year, he consistently broke his word. So here I am tonight, and I think that tonight
Has a melon.
Mike will have a Yiddish theme. Because, as Howard said, not only is Mike a wonderful producer, a remarkable actor, a brilliant director, but he's also, he's also really Albert Einstein's cousin. And it's true. It's on a show in PBS that is hosted by, I can barely read my hand, Robert Gates Jr. But I have always suspected this because years ago I was leafing through a Gutenberg Bible that Mike keeps on his coffee table, and I found a letter. One page of the letter. It was a letter obviously written by Einstein. I don't know to whom it was written because it was the second page. I took that letter and a few other little things that Mike will never miss. I have that letter with me tonight. I'm going to read it. I just don't want to take out the wrong thing. It's the second page. Agitated, I moved away from the dinner party and wandered into the kitchen where little Igor was finishing his mashed potatoes and peas. He ate the peas one at a time. On impulse, I said to him, how can I explain to dinner guests that relative time equals distance over speed? Without sounding pedantic. Little
Has
Igor
a
paused
melon.
over his
Nice
tea.
shading. Thank you.
He said, a mother is forced to send her little boy away. Sitting on the train, the boy is grief-stricken. Suddenly he looks through the window and sees that there's another train standing still on the track beside his. And the little girl is looking at him through the window and smiling. For a moment the boy's grief is lifted and he smiles, and then they pull back. And we see the heartbroken mother watching the two trains, which were actually racing away. But to the children smiling at each other through the window, the train seems to be standing still because they are both traveling in the same direction at the same speed. And here Einstein writes, "It was at that moment I gave up my dream of being a director and decided to stay with physics." And the last line, I said to the boy, "I had no idea where you were going with that story." This is as far as this letter goes. But I knew immediately that Little Igor was mine because, of course, I know that his name is Igor. And that's the way he still eats peas. But I, like Einstein, never know where my story is going either. I watch his movies, and I have no idea where they're going to go, and then when they get there, I think, oh, well, yeah, of course. I watched The Graduate kill himself for this girl, and then defeat her mother, and then he tears her away from some guy at her own wedding, and then when they're on the bus and he's won, he has nothing to say to her. And you think, oh, well, yeah, of course. I mean, if you kept the camera on the prince after he put the glass slipper on Cinderella's foot...
Living the dream, do you still blend the body part after? Yeah, because after this, I'm still gonna put some textures on the body part. So the blending continues.
And Working Girl, well, you do know what's going to happen, because Melanie Griffith is going to get Harrison Ford, and she's beautiful and he's handsome, and they're both in business, and they have something to talk about on the bus because they're in the market. They're probably one of the corporations that are funding this evening. These scripts are all written by terrific, writers. But if you're a writer, you really want Mike to direct your screenplay, because you know that every shot and every costume and every piece of furniture and every shoe and everything you see is going to tell your story and never give it away. I have to go back to my Jewish theme now because I don't want to not be...
How would you blend it? Just the same brushes, but a little lighter kind of blending because I don't want to lose the details.
Because he had never achieved a combined field theory, and that's got to be depressing. But in whatever super spring sixth dimension he may be in, if he's watching the show tonight, I think he'd probably be immensely cheered up to discover that he is Mike Nichols' cousin.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nora Ephron.
Hey there. Recently, Mike was interviewed in the New York Times for a piece about Julia Roberts. And this is what he said. Julia Roberts, Meryl Streep, and my wife. Those are the three women I love. So, apparently I am not one of Mike's three favorite women. This seemed like a sad thing to learn when I was on the verge of having to write yet another fucking tribute to him. And I'm sure that some of you other speakers were operating under the same delusion. Annette, Natalie, Candy, Sigourney, here, Louise, Emma, Elaine. I mean, what about Elaine? Just when you think he has won all the awards, there turns out to be another. I'm not referring to this one. I had to call Mike a couple of weeks ago on the occasion of the accountant he had referred me to being arrested. And he couldn't talk because
Handsome
he was
Milol, you're
at the
good at
White
this, man.
House
Keep
getting
up the
an
good
award
work. Thank you.
for being a
As the
Jew.
outfits, good morning, Master. I just want to know what is your YouTube income. Ah, that's secret.
But that's what he said. At least none of us had to speak at it, only the president.
The income is good, but I don't want
I
to say
did,
that.
however, give him a Jew
amount.
award once. We had to drive out to a synagogue in Shirley, Long Island. to do
It's
it,
like a
but it was
monthly
worth it, because
thing,
how
monthly
many
income.
people get to speak at the Shirley Temple? Anyway, all of us could be a Boonwell movie, a pack of people who owe Mike everything and are therefore doomed to spend eternity giving him awards. Love you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nora Ephron.
I loved working with Meryl Streep. First, I worked with her on Silkwood. Alice Harlan and I did a script for her. Meryl did Karen Silkwood and the Polish person and the Danish person, blah, blah, blah. But the true stretch, if I do say so, was playing me in Hartford. I highly recommend having Meryl Streep play you. If your husband is cheating on you with a car hop, get Meryl to play you. You'll feel much better. If you get rear-ended in a parking lot, have Meryl Streep play you. If the dingo eats your baby, call Meryl. She plays all of us better than we play ourselves, although it's a little depressing knowing that if you went to audition to play yourself, you would lose out to her. Some days, when I'm having a hard day, I call up Meryl and she'll come and she'll step in for me. She's so good, people don't really notice. I call her at the end of the day and find out how I did, and inevitably it's one of the best days I've ever had. You have no idea how much work goes into being as good as Meryl is, or for making it look as effortless as she makes it look, but I do. Because one night, while we were making Heartburn, I went into her trailer. She wasn't expecting me. She wasn't in costume, and she wasn't wearing makeup. She turned out to be a 63-year-old Asian woman named Chipak. So Chipak, tonight we honor you.
remember Mr. Luigi right here, and here's Daddy right between them.
I think he's over here, Eunice. I remember he was right beside the sprinkler.
The marker's got his name on it, Carl D. Harper.
Well, I don't know how he got here.
Well, now, what do you think? They moved him?
Look at this mess. It's like somebody been having a picnic here. Look at this marker. It's just filthy.
Mama, I hope you don't intend on polishing every single letter on that thing. Remember now, we only got a few minutes, huh?
Well, if I don't do it, who will? Lord knows you never did nothing for your daddy. You know, I like Carl's marker better than the other markers around here. Don't you, Eunice?
Yes, Mama.
That marble one that Luigi fella's got there is just plain gaudy. Why in the world does Rose Chain's family ever put all of them birds on there? I'll never know.
I'll never know either, Mama.
What the hell kind of a name is that anyway? Rose Chain.
Mama, I don't know.
Well, your father wasn't a flashy man. He would have appreciated this simple little marker. I know all you kids think I got it because it was cheap.
No, Mama, nobody thought you was cheap.
Not that I had much money. Your father never was one to plan ahead. He died so sudden he left me with nothing.
I know, Mama.
Not planning ahead, that was his damn fault. You inherited that trait from me.
Let's talk about anime, hello. No matter when you stream, I will always see your stream. Wow, thank you.
I didn't mean it when I said you were a no good, weak, anyways, with no backbone. Those are my last words to him, Eunice. And he stormed off to the bathroom and he died there.
No, Mama, please don't.
I can still see him sitting there.
Please, Mama, will you just spare me all the details?
Oh, I know. I am boring. I am boring. Every time I talk about anything that is close to my heart, I am boring. Would it be asking too much for you to go fill his face up with water? Would you rather I hobble up the hill and did it myself?
I'll be happy to do it. Just will you hurry up with your visit so we can go?
Well, Carl, I hope you're happy wherever you are. And I hope you realize how bad things are for me. I'm living with Eunice now, and you see how she is. I can't even open my mouth without getting jumped on. You remember that god-awful creep she married? Well, he finally run off. And I told her the day they got there, and if they had any children, they was going to turn out to be freaks. And sure as shooting, that's what they turned out to be. Them two boys are going to wind up in reform school yet.
Here we are, Mama. Nice and rich daisies for that.
Well, they sure look beauty compared to this little
Hazamilol. BMD, are you self-taught or studied arts? Just curious. Definitely self-taught.
You do not have to be rich to buy decent flowers.
Now look, Mama, you standing there right next to me when I bought these daisies. If you had wanted red roses or pink chrysanthemums, why didn't you say something?
When you asked the lady what she had for a bug, I was so mortified I hardly spoke.
I did not see you opening up your
Living the dream, happy 70k subscribers. Oh, is it already? I haven't checked it yet. Wow, thank you, thank you. Let's talk about anime. Is this paper rough? This is medium surface, so a little bit rough, but not too heavy textured.
It's good drainage. It's got this nice view of the Raytown Medical Dental Center. I don't want to laugh at you, Eunice.
Well, Mama, don't do
That Rose Chain.
You know how that upsets me when you talk like that? That's a long way off, Mama. Come on now. I had a real nice day planned for both of us. Come on, let's go to the movie.
A nice day for you, maybe. It's always some movie you won't see. Now, don't you want to say a little something to your father in private?
No. I've been talking talking to him in my head.
Well, I hope you've been saying a prayer. I don't know what kind of prayers you say these days. Wouldn't never hurt you to show up at church once in a while.
All right, Mama, we'll talk about that some other time, too. Come on.
Well, at least say a little prayer out loud so he won't know how much you've slept.
Mom, I told you I've been saying a prayer to him in my head, and I know he heard it.
Well, say a little something out loud. You hardly ever come out here say anything. Say hello.
Hello, Daddy. I'm fine. How's things down there with you? The boys are fine. Family's in their love.
That's it.
Well, what else do you want?
Well, tell him something to cheer him up, Judith.
David, have you tried drawing on a very smooth pad with graphite? How was it? Yeah, I have drawn with totally smooth paper with graphite, and it's good. It's good with graphite, but not so much with charcoal because the powder just slides on the paper and doesn't grab the charcoal very well. Lorna Jimenez, saludos desde Costa Rica. Hello, Lorna Jimenez. Thank you for watching. And yeah, from Costa Rica, that was far.
Shores of Gumi by the shining bright sea water stood this little. Well, I know
Well, you knew it all when you was 10.
Well, it ain't exactly something I brush up on every day. Now, can we please go to the moon?
Oh, well, fine, Carl. We can't talk any longer because your daughter's got to rush off to some silly movie.
Now, wait just a minute. I wanted to go to this movie alone, but you kept moaning and groaning and whining about sitting at home staring at them four walls, so I said, okay, fine. I'll treat you to lunch and I'll treat you to the movie. And then what do? You proceed to drag me out here to this creepy cemetery where you make a total... jackass out of your... This movie is important to me. It happens to be a Barbra Streisand musical.
Oh, well, she won't take me anywhere I want to go. So when I finally do get out, it's to sit through 2 hours of that silly Barbra Streisand and who the hell ever told her she could sing anyway.
Well, I am aghast at your ignorance. Barbra Streisand only happens to be the #1 box office star in the whole world, outlaw.
Get off your dick. Movies, that's all you care about.
Well, I deserve to have some fun in my life.
And this is the selfishness that I'm forced to live with. And she was always that way, Paul. Shut up!
I have had it up to here with you, old woman. Not once in your entire
Let's talk
life
about
did
anime. Can you
ever
make a detailed video explaining geometric style shading? Yeah, noted.
And I broke my arm, and the wind was not clean out of me, and there I was writhing in pain, and you and Daddy come rushing up to me, and you looked down at me, and you said, well, damn it, there goes our vacation. And you, all I ever got from you was Eunice, keep out of my life. Eunice, don't breathe in my face. Eunice, keep your voice down. Well, I am through keeping my voice down. I am through keeping out of your way and keeping my voice down. Do you hear me, Daddy?
Oh, down there a long time. So do I. What she's saying.
Oh, Lord, forgive me. I didn't mean it. I didn't honest. I didn't. Every time we come out here, it's the same thing. She talks about how Daddy died in the bathroom. Now she can still see him sitting there. And she pulls this number about wanting to slip in there between him and this bird woman.
I hate it out here. I hate it.
This place gives me a willies. All right. And you listen to me, and you listen to me good, you old toad.
or you can camp out right here because I don't care. Well, you just go on ahead then because I can stand right here. Fine. You don't have to fly off the handle. Just wait a minute. Carl, we'll be back again real soon. We'll have another nice visit. There ain't maze around here somewhere. I'll get you like rocks to work for a minute. I don't want to see anything. I want to see Barbara Streisand. Well, if I live to be 100, I will never figure out what's suspected in that show. Just wonderful. I mean, all these youngsters getting together to tell naughty jokes. Oh, God, some of them.
I was there. Ow! Ow! I had to come on your goddamn phone.
Oh, yeah, shut up. I know this must be a roast. Hello, ha. But let me just tell you something. I am disgusted. And I am appalled by what I have witnessed here tonight. I have been a comic for more than 40 years. 40 years. Yes. And after hearing the filth that came out of your disgusting, filthy mouths, I am embarrassed for my profession. I respect my craft. And tonight I watched all of you defile it with vulgarity. You took a comedy legend and you destroyed this poor son of a bitch. Can you hear that, Carl? You used to work clean. Do you remember that at all? What'd you say tonight? You said shit. You said you never said that in your routine. You say that for home with the synagogue all for money. I'm just sick of this. Shut. You know what you are, darling? You are a thief. Yes, you stole my act, you stole my gaze.
Let's talk about anime, which is the best for eyes, charcoal or graphite? Both are actually good, but since if you want something darker, I think charcoal is better and easier to and quicker to use.
When you do the Howard Stern show, every time there's a break, she goes, oh, my father molested me. My father molested me. Take a good look at yourself, darling. Let me tell you something. You should be thrilled that that man paid any attention at all. I saw you naked backstage, bitch. You look like a f***ing mudslide. I don't even talk about you. I don't know why I'm here. Which brings me to Brad Garrett. Brad, you have the nerve to criticize me. The only thing lower than your show's ratings are coal miners balls. Show 'em, Colin.
JLS Jabbers. Hello, JLS Jabbers. Scrappy Coco, amazing. Thank you.
Whitney came to me all sweet. I want your advice, me young comedian. I want your... I'll give you advice. I'll give you the same advice I gave to David Carradine. Hang in there. Now... And speaking of men in fishnets, I love that transition. What am I going to say to you, Mario? Welcome to the dais.
Dorothy, you're not in Ken's ass anymore. You're in the big time. You took a last week and Rock Hudson came out. Who's that? Greg? When they said to me, Greg Giraldo is going to be on the show, I said, who the fuck is Greg Giraldo? And then I go, this is wrong. And I went and I Googled you. And you know what Google said? Who the fuck is Greg Giraldo? But I thank you for coming.
Ilang taon ka na pa nagda-drawing, gusto ko maging artist eh. Naku, matagal-tagal na, more than 15 years.
I'm a 76-year-old woman. I sat there. I haven't got that much fucking time left. Your set was longer than Bernie Madoff's prison sentence. I mean, on. Open your fucking eyes. The audience is leaving, you ass. Sick of you. You are loud. You are obnoxious. You make me ashamed to be Jewish. I have become a Jew hater tonight. You know what I'm going to do? You know what I'm going to do when I leave here? I am going to go to Malibu and I'm going to give Mel Gibson a job. Thank you. I was going to make an announcement tonight that I was going to retire. This was going to be it for me. I wanted to spend my golden years with my wonderful daughter, Melissa, my beloved grandson, Cooper. I was just going to sit back. But after tonight's show, no, I cannot leave comedy in the hands of these untalented people. No, comedy, and I say this with humility, comedy needs me. Comedy needs me. Yes. Down. Comedy needs Joan Rivers. And even more than comedy, and I say this, America needs Joan Rivers. Yes, America needs Joan. Will you cue the fucking flag, please? Thank you. America needs Joan Rivers. And that is why, tonight, I swear to you, I am going to keep comedy forever going in this country. I will not retire, if you understand me. I plan to be around for the next 100 years, just like herpes, when you least expect it. I will be there. As long as there are body parts, I will be there. I will get arms, I will get legs. These are ready at Chastity Bono's.
JLS Gravers, as a 10-year kid po, mahilig na ako mag-drawing eh. Wow, bata ka pa pala. Ang galing mo po, Idol.
This is the face of comedy. And just like our flag behind me, this face has been battered. This face has been burnt. This face has been spat on. But
Mr. David Letterman, as I call him out of respect and fear, has unknowingly been a family friend of mine since I was 10 years old.
Looking at the way you shake should help with the way I do my shading.
Morning of the summer of 1980,
wow.
watching the David
Thank you,
Letterman
Matt Chris.
show. Who was
I hope.
this Dave Letterman guy? Was he a brilliant, subtle,
Learn something.
passive-aggressive parody of a talk show host? Or Just some
You also
Midwestern
self-taught.
goon
Oh, wow,
was a
that's
little bit
great.
off. Well, here we are, 32 years later, and time has proven that there's really just no way of knowing. By the time I left for college, late night had cemented its place as the epicenter of culture for anybody who wasn't a dope. Every single boy I went to college with was basically doing a 24-hour-a-day David Letterman impression. They would, whenever possible, use old-timey phrases like program and goof and for the love of God, folks, don't try this at home. And it really worked to make me like them. And I'm not embarrassed to say that by graduation, I had been turned down by dozens of David Letterman impersonators. But the joke's on you, college nerds, because I grew up to be an off-brand weirdo, and I have been, if the internet is to be believed, lucky enough to appear on The Late Show with David Letterman 15 times. Only sometimes because somebody more important had canceled. Yes, I have met Mr. David Letterman 15 times.
Jealous
and I
Jabbers.
feel it now.
Pang
If I
smooth
saw
po
him in
ng
a
drawing.
restaurant, I actually
Tapos sa
know
drawing
him well
mo
enough
po
to
quality
know
yung mga
that he would not
highlights.
want you to
Oh,
bother
wow.
him.
Salamat.
Dave is
Javier
someone you
90.
watch
Sao
not just because you
trabaho
like him, but because
e
you fantasize that he
inspirador.
would like you.
Thank
In
you,
fact,
thank you,
could
Javier.
argue that Mr. Letterman's at his best when he's interviewing someone you suspect maybe he doesn't like at all. Whether it's calling Bill O'Reilly a bonehead or asking Paris Hilton about eating hard-boiled eggs in jail, is really a piece of poetry. Watch it again if you haven't seen it lately. Or just sitting back and letting Madonna be a high-status dum-dum. David Letterman is a professor emeritus at the Here's Some More Rope Institute. And tonight, we declare it officially. My mom was right. David Letterman, you are an American treasure. Like the Grand Canyon, or the Chicago skyline, or the top two Kardashians.
Top 10 reasons I love being Dave's mom. Here we go, number 10.
When I see him on his show, I know he's not in jail.
That's right.
Meet the Lettermans. An Indiana family as normal as pie.
Matt Chris, are you somewhere in South America? No,
Hoping for a date with destiny.
I'm not. I'm in the Pacific. I'm from the Philippines.
It was at college that he found out what he was good at. Fooling around on camera. He headed west with a secret wish to be funny enough to be invited on the Johnny Carson show. He labored 3 years with jungles of television. Then he got the call. The curtains part, your heart is pounding, and all the time you're wondering, what will Johnny say?
You're going to be working a lot. That's Saturday Comedy Club. Thank you. I hope you come back with us. I love to see you.
He went from Johnny's guest to guest host. Then got a morning show of his own. A great show, wrong time of day.
Me.Indie. What pencils are you using? I'm using Cretacolor Nero oil-based charcoal pencil. Javier 90, I am Brazilian.
This is what kids were watching after their parents went to bed.
Hi, I'm Mr. Curious.
Mr. Curious? Mr. Curious? Yeah, I just want to ask you a couple of questions. What do you do for a living? So it's going to go through the roof. Those steroids, by the way, apparently don't affect your ego, do they?
It was a new territory for a talk show, and a new kind of funny. Dave had dreamed of inheriting his hero's throne and time slot. When he didn't get it, CBS grabbed him and hoped his young audience would follow. And so began the next 20 years of Dave's revolutionary ride.
Everybody's seen it on TV. Every idiot in the area is going to drive by honking now.
Was that you?
After 30 years, Dave was still unhinging the doors of comedy. And that's why we keep watching, because we never know where he'll go.
You're from, as I recall, you're from Bangladesh?
Yeah, I'm from Bangladesh.
Okay. Does she share her materials?
Yes.
Oh, she does?
Yeah, but when she goes out on
Does she work well with others?
sort of.
Right.
But when she
Is she constantly interrupted?
You are.
The guy who broke all the rules became the most decorated man in television. Now, every night, there are bright young comedians all over America inspired by David Letterman.
Watching The Late Show with David Letterman is like being on a roller coaster. It's exhilarating, it's also dangerous, scary, it makes you sweat, and sometimes when it's over, you throw up. And that's just the viewers. Now, we know that Dave has fun at our expense, so we wanted to cook up something to turn the tables on him. Something that would get him out of his comfort zone. Something that would make him squirm. Something he would hate. So tonight we're giving him the Kennedy Center Award. It's perfect. First, Dave had to travel all the way from New York City to Washington, D.C. A journey of 200 miles on a private jet. We had him sit in a box and watch artists perform for 2 full hours. Put him in a big room full of people he doesn't know. Make him wear a tux with plain old black socks. And then we don't let him say anything.
Nikhil Pradhan, thank you. Hazza Milol, how many hours does it take you to create this realistic masterpiece in like your other works? No, I lost the count of hours, but this is not well, it's quite quick because I'm using an oil-based charcoal pencil.
But despite the fact that people hate every second of this, I'm here tonight to talk about how great Dave is and what he means to me as a talk show host and as a woman. In February of 1983, when Late Night with David Letterman went on the air, I was 15 years old and lucky enough to have a little black and white TV set in my bedroom. Every night after my parents went into their room to molest each other, I'd stay up late secretly watching Johnny Carson. And then I started staying up later to watch the guy who went on after him.
And while I love Johnny, I fell in love with Dave. When I turned 16, I blew out the candles on a late night with David Letterman cake that my mom made me. My first car had a late night vanity plate. I drew pictures of Dave on the covers of all my textbooks. I started a late night with David Letterman club in high school. To me, it wasn't just a TV show. It was the reason I would fail to make love to a live woman for many, many years. Every night, I wanted to be David Letterman. All my friends wanted to be David Letterman. Ironically, the only person who didn't want to be David Letterman is David Letterman. And that is a shame because you, Dave, are the funniest, the smartest, the weirdest, the coolest, and the best one ever, hands down. And the greatest thrill of my career came last month when Dave agreed to be a guest on my show. He could tell I was nervous, so right before the show, he came to my dressing room and just held me. But Dave, whether you like it or not, you are my hero, and you are a hero to most everyone in this room, with the possible exception of the people who came to see the ballerina. Measure up to you. It's impossible because we wouldn't know how to do this without you. You taught us, you inspired us, and most of all, you made us laugh really hard. Thank you, Dave.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Romano.
I always thought as a performer, the last thing you want to do is bomb in front of Led Zeppelin. They were a big part of my childhood. I lost my virginity to the first 2 minutes of Stairway to Heaven.